Belong, he sneers, thrusting his Italian leather shoe toward her face. Use your bare hands. Vice President Thompson records everything, laughing. This'll go viral. The other men clink glasses, celebrating their power. Vanessa's fingers tremble, not from fear, but fury. She grips her cleaning cloth, memorizing each face. What these men don't realize is they've just made the biggest mistake of their careers. 12 hours earlier. The rising sun glints off Nexacor's glass headquarters as Vanessa approaches the entrance, cleaning service uniform freshly pressed. 50 years of dignity in every step. The security guard stops her at the lobby. ID. He barely glances at the white employees breezing through. Vanessa presents her credentials. Another form of ID, he demands. She produces her driver's license. Wait here. 10 minutes pass, 15, 20. Other cleaners younger, whiter get waved through. The head of maintenance finally retrieves her. You're assigned to floor 30 executive level. His tone suggests special punishment, not privilege. Usually reserved for favorites, but they specifically requested someone with experience. Vanessa follows him to the service elevator. You understand the rules? Stay invisible. Don't speak unless spoken to. The executive floor gleams with wealth. Vanessa organizes her cart methodically, starting with the corner offices. In the conference room, documents lie scattered across the table. Vanessa glimpses spreadsheets with highlighted names, predominantly minorities and employees over 45. The help is here, announces a sharp voice. Chief Operating Officer Philip Alderman strides in, Vice President Gregory Thompson behind him. Vanessa keeps her eyes down. Coffee, Black, Alderman commands without looking at her. I'm with the cleaning service, sir, Vanessa explains quietly. Not catering. Alderman's head snaps up. His eyes narrow, surveying her like faulty equipment. I don't care what department you're from. When an executive asks for something, you provide it. Vanessa meets his gaze steadily. I'd be happy to show you where the coffee station is located, sir. Thompson snickers. Alderman's jaw tightens. He steps closer, voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. His expression hardens into something predatory, a wolf recognizing vulnerable prey. Afternoon sunlight angles through the windows as Vanessa scrubs the executive bathroom's marble countertops. The door swings open. Alderman and Thompson enter, mid-conversation. The board won't question our methods if we deliver results, Alderman says, loosening his tie. The trick is targeting the right people. Thompson leans against the wall. Legal says age discrimination cases are rising. So we doctor the performance reviews. Alderman washes his hands, splashing water carelessly. Focus on minorities and older staff first. They're less likely to afford attorneys. Vanessa keeps cleaning, movements steady and silent. Jenkins in accounting set him up to fail next week. Same with that older black woman in marketing. Robinson? She's been here 15 years. Exactly. Expensive salary. Outdated skills. Alderman dries his hands, dropping the towel on the wet counter. Replace her with someone younger, cheaper, and less likely to need family leave. Vanessa reaches for the discarded towel. Her eyes inadvertently meet Alderman's in the mirror. He freezes. Didn't your people learn it's rude to eavesdrop? His voice cuts like ice. Thompson shifts uncomfortably. Phil, she's just cleaning. No. Alderman blocks Vanessa's exit. She was listening. Weren't you? Vanessa straightens, voice calm. I'm just here to clean, sir. Empty your pockets and bag. Alderman steps closer. Now. Vanessa complies, revealing nothing but cleaning supplies and a simple lunch. Disappointed? she asks quietly. Alderman's nostrils flare. Know your place if you want to keep this job. Understand? Perfectly, sir. Vanessa gathers her supplies, dignity intact. Alderman watches her intently. You're on thin ice. Thompson checks his watch as they leave. Vanessa catches his whispered words to Alderman in the hallway. Maybe we should make an example of her tonight. Evening descends on Nexicor's offices. Most employees have left, but lights blaze on the executive floor. Vanessa empties trash bins, hearing raucous laughter from the conference room. Alderman emerges, cheeks flushed with alcohol. You, cleaning lady, come here. Cleaning. Vanessa follows him into the room. 6 executives surround the conference table, drinking expensive scotch. Client portfolios and quarterly reports litter the surface alongside deliberately spilled drinks and scattered food. Gentlemen, Alderman announces, I promised entertainment. Vanessa stands perfectly still, invisible armor around her dignity. Our cleaning lady will demonstrate her skills. Alderman gestures dramatically. Show us how thoroughly you clean. The men exchange amused glances. One chuckles, swirling amber liquid. My shoes could use attention. Brilliant idea, Davis. Alderman claps. Get on your knees and clean around our shoes. Vanessa doesn't move. That's not part of my job description. Alderman's smile vanishes. Your job description is whatever I say it is. He steps closer, voice lowering. Unless you'd prefer unemployment. I understand college tuition is expensive these days. Vanessa's daughter's face flashes in her mind. Tuition due next month. The apartment rent. Medical bills. She kneels slowly. That's better. Alderman places his shoe inches from her face. Now make it shine. Thompson pulls out his phone. This is gold. The guys at the club won't believe it. Use your hands, instructs another executive, dropping his napkin deliberately. Cleaning products might damage the leather. Vanessa's hands shake slightly as she wipes the fine Italian leather. Each movement precise, controlled. Their laughter crashes against her like waves against stone. Look at her age, one whispers loudly. Bet she's used to serving her betters. Faster, Alderman commands. We don't have all night. Vanessa moves to each man methodically. Her fingers memorize their shoes, their faces, their names on gold badges. When they're distracted by a new round of drinks, she slips her phone from her pocket, positioning it carefully in her apron. The recording light blinks red. What's your name, anyway? Asks Davis, the youngest executive. Vanessa Taylor, she answers clearly for the recording. Well, Vanessa Taylor, Alderman raises his glass. Congratulations on finally understanding your position in our company hierarchy. She continues working, face impassive. But behind her eyes, something dangerous awakens. None of them notice how carefully she's documenting every humiliating word and gesture. In the employee restroom, Vanessa locks the door behind her. Her reflection stares back composed, dignified, furious. She splashes cold water on her face, hands finally allowing themselves to tremble. Never again, she whispers to her reflection. The words solidify into iron resolve. This ends now. She retrieves her phone from her apron pocket, checking the recording quality. 37 minutes of clear evidence. She dials a familiar number, voice dropping to a near whisper. James, it's happening again. She leans against the wall. Worse than Weston Financial last year. The voice on the other end remains calm, professional. Details. Nexicor. Targeted discrimination against older employees and minorities. Hostile work environment. And tonight, her voice catches. Deliberate humiliation. I have it all recorded. Are you safe? James asks. For now. Vanessa checks her watch. They think I'm just a cleaning lady. They don't hide anything. Document everything. I'll have the team ready. They discuss strategy and practiced shorthand evidence collection, witness testimonies, timeline. 3 more days should be enough, Vanessa confirms. The board meeting Thursday will be the culmination. Meanwhile, in CEO Martin Braden's office, Alderman presents quarterly reports with practiced confidence. Restructuring has exceeded expectations, he announces, sliding glossy charts across the mahogany desk. 15% reduction in workforce costs, 8% increase in productivity. Braden frowns at the numbers. These termination patterns seem targeted, Phil. Any potential legal exposure? Alderman waves dismissively. HR handles the paperwork. Everything's documented as performance-based. And employee morale? People are grateful to keep their jobs. Alderman straightens his cufflinks. We had a minor issue today. Cleaning staff overheard something sensitive, nothing serious. Handled? Put her in her place. Alderman smiles thinly. She understands the hierarchy now. Braden nods, attention already shifting to other matters. Vanessa returns to the executive floor, now empty except for nighttime security. She moves methodically, examining trash bins for discarded documents. When she finds a crumpled organizational chart with red marks targeting specific employees, she photographs it carefully. A junior executive Davis from earlier returns unexpectedly for forgotten files. He startles, seeing Vanessa. Oh, He looks ashamed. I'm sorry about earlier. That was inexcusable. Vanessa studies him carefully, weighing sincerity against strategy. Not your fault, she answers finally, continuing her work. Davis hesitates. If you need anything. Thank you, Vanessa interrupts softly. She memorizes his name badge. Michael Davis, VP Development. After he leaves, Vanessa continues her meticulous documentation, whispering to herself as she works. Sometimes the best way to clean up a mess is to expose exactly how it was made. Morning light floods the Nexicor lobby. Vanessa's supervisor intercepts her before she reaches the elevators. Change of plans. He checks his clipboard. Alderman specifically requested you for the executive floor permanently. His eyebrows rise. Executives usually complain about cleaners, not request them. Vanessa's face reveals nothing. I'm thorough. Must be. He hands her a key card. Don't make me regret this assignment. The executive floor buzzes with activity. Vanessa cleans methodically, invisible yet seeing everything. She enters Alderman's empty office, dusting his desk while scanning documents. A printer whirs to life. Fresh emails emerge, discussions about productivity improvement, targeting employees over 45. Vanessa photographs each page discreetly. The door opens. Alderman freezes, catching her near the printer. What are you doing? His voice cuts through the room. Vanessa holds up her dusting cloth. My job, sir. Snooping through my papers looks more like it. He stalks forward, snatching the documents. Give me one reason not to have you fired right now. Firing without cause might attract attention, Vanessa suggests calmly. I'm simply cleaning. Alderman studies her, eyes narrowing. You're either very brave or very stupid. He circles her like a predator. I have special tasks for you today. Throughout the morning, Alderman calls Vanessa for increasingly demeaning jobs. He summons her to clean a coffee spill while continuing his meeting, criticizing her speed. He drops papers deliberately, making her gather each one individually. Slower, he commands when she efficiently reorganizes them. I want to see you crawl. Vanessa complies, each humiliation recorded in her memory like evidence being cataloged. In the hallway, she witnesses Thompson berating a young black employee. His voice carries through the glass walls. This is basic competence, Danielle. If you can't handle simple tasks, perhaps we overestimated your potential. The young woman blinks back tears. Yes, sir, it won't happen again. Later, Vanessa finds Danielle crying in the bathroom. Are you all right? Vanessa asks, offering a tissue. Danielle wipes her eyes. 3 years of excellent reviews, then suddenly everything I do is wrong. Vanessa hesitates, then locks the bathroom door. How long has this been happening? Since the new restructuring plan. Danielle straightens her blouse. It's not just me. Everyone over 40 or not white, suddenly we're all underperforming. Vanessa nods slowly. They did something similar to me last night, she confides, pulling out her phone. Would you be willing to see something important? 3 days into her assignment, Vanessa pushes her cleaning cart past the conference room. Inside, Alderman hosts an executive lunch. Crystal glasses clink against china plates. Taylor, Alderman calls out. Come in. Vanessa enters, keeping her eyes appropriately lowered. Clean while we eat. He gestures vaguely toward a water ring on the table. Try not to disturb our meeting. The executives continue their conversation as if she's furniture. The restructuring targets are aggressive, says Thompson, cutting into his steak. We need to eliminate another 12% by month end. Focus on the list I circulated, Alderman replies. Those departments have the highest concentration of redundant positions. A younger executive, not Davis, clears his throat. Some of these employees have perfect performance records. Records can be adjusted. Alderman smiles thinly. HR will backdate documentation as needed. Could we face discrimination claims? The younger man persists. The pattern seems obvious. Alderman laughs, gesturing dismissively toward Vanessa. Who would believe someone like her over us? She's nobody. Vanessa continues cleaning methodically, her phone recording in her pocket. Later that afternoon, Alderman summons Vanessa to his office during an important call. He deliberately tips his coffee across his desk. Clean it immediately, he demands, covering the phone. And silently. Vanessa efficiently contains the spill before it reaches important documents. Sloppy work, Alderman critiques after ending his call. Do it again. On your hands and knees this time. Vanessa complies while Alderman begins another call, propping his feet on his desk, inches from her face. The board will never notice the pattern, he assures the caller. We're calling it a performance-based reduction. That evening, Vanessa meets Danielle and 2 other employees in a quiet corner of the building's cafeteria. They share similar stories of sudden criticism, impossible expectations, and targeted harassment. My performance reviews were excellent until last month, says a gray-haired white woman from accounting. Now suddenly I'm not adapting to technological changes. They put me on a performance improvement plan after 7 years of promotions, adds an older Asian man. The tasks are impossible by design. Vanessa listens intently, occasionally asking clarifying questions. None of them notice Thompson watching from across the cafeteria, phone in hand. These aren't isolated incidents, Vanessa explains quietly. It's systematic discrimination. She shares carefully selected portions of her recordings. Their eyes widen. We need documentation, Vanessa instructs. Emails, performance reviews, witness statements. As the group disperses, Vanessa checks her watch and sends a text message. We need to accelerate our timeline, she types urgently. They're getting suspicious. Day 5. Morning sunlight cuts sharp rectangles across Alderman's office carpet as Vanessa is escorted inside by security. Alderman and Thompson wait behind the massive desk, faces grim. Close the door, Alderman orders the guard. Vanessa stands perfectly straight, hands folded at her waist. You've been busy, Alderman begins, tapping his fingers against a folder. Quite the social butterfly for a cleaning lady. Thompson slides a tablet across the desk. Security footage shows Vanessa meeting with Danielle and the others. Stirring up trouble among my employees. Alderman's voice remains conversational, dangerous. Collecting grievances, spreading discontent. Vanessa says nothing. We've come to a crossroads, Ms. Taylor Alderman leans forward. 2 options, resign immediately with a neutral reference or Vanessa asks, voice steady. Thompson smirks. Termination for theft. He holds up a company pen. Found in your cleaning cart. Corporate property. A serious offense, Alderman adds, worthy of a very negative reference. Vanessa studies the pen. I've never seen that before. Your word against ours. Alderman shrugs. Choose now. I decline both options, Vanessa replies calmly. I've done nothing wrong. Something flashes in Alderman's eyes, rage mingled with disbelief at her defiance. You misunderstand. He rises slowly. This isn't a negotiation. He presses the intercom. Send in the executive team. 5 minutes later, 4 additional executives file in, including Davis, who avoids eye contact. Demonstration time, Alderman announces. Miss. Taylor believes rules don't apply to her. He kicks over a trash can deliberately. Papers scatter across the floor. Clean it up. Show us how it's done properly. Vanessa kneels, gathering papers methodically. One executive deliberately steps on her hand as he shifts position. Oops, he smirks. Didn't see you there. Another executive approaches with his coffee cup. He tilts it, spilling dark liquid inches from her knees. Clumsy me, he laughs. Better clean that too. Throughout the humiliation, Vanessa remains composed. Her hand slides subtly to her pocket, activating her phone's recording function. This is what happens when people forget their place, Alderman lectures the room. Take notes, gentlemen. We're making an example here. Davis steps backward toward the door, face uncomfortable. Alderman notices. Problem, Michael? Meeting in 5 minutes, Davis mutters. Should prepare. This is more educational, Thompson counters. Stay. Alderman circles Vanessa like a shark. Tonight's executive team building event will use our cleaning lady for a special demonstration. Everyone's invited. Vanessa finishes cleaning, rising with perfect dignity despite their laughter. Alderman dismisses her with a contemptuous wave. In the hallway, she retrieves her phone, checking the recording quality. She sends a single text message. Tonight, bring everything. Crystal chandeliers illuminate Nexacore's penthouse event space. Executives mingle with board members and clients, champagne flowing freely. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase the glittering city below. CEO Martin Braden addresses the gathering. Q4 exceeded all projections thanks to our restructuring initiative. Applause ripples through the crowd. Alderman stands nearby, basking in reflected glory. And now, Braden continues, our COO, Philip Alderman, has a special presentation. Alderman takes center stage, confidence oozing from every pore. Before our formal presentation, a little entertainment. He gestures toward the service entrance. Taylor, join us, please. Vanessa enters, pushing her cleaning cart. Whispers follow her across the polished floor. Some of you may have noticed our aging workforce problem. Alderman begins, circling Vanessa. Tonight demonstrates our solution to obsolescence. Laughter bubbles from the alcohol-loosened crowd. On your knees, Alderman commands softly. Vanessa kneels. Thompson steps forward, phone recording. Now, Alderman begins. The main doors swing open. A distinguished black man enters, flanked by 4 professionals carrying briefcases. Silence falls instantly. Please continue, the man states calmly. This is most educational. Alderman stares. This is a private event. Security! Vanessa rises smoothly to her feet. She removes her cleaning smock, revealing a crisp blazer underneath. The transformation is electric. Allow me to properly introduce myself, she announces, voice carrying effortlessly. Vanessa Taylor, senior partner at Taylor Bennett Legal, specializing in workplace discrimination and harassment. Gasps ripple through the room. Alderman's face contorts. And my colleague, James Bennett, Vanessa continues, gesturing to the man who just entered. former federal prosecutor now heading our litigation team. Bennett steps forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the interruption. However, events demand immediate attention. This is absurd, Alderman sputters. Remove them. Security guards hesitate, looking toward CEO Braden, who appears frozen. Bennett activates a presentation on the room's main screen. Video begins playing. Alderman forcing Vanessa to clean his shoes. Executives making explicitly discriminatory comments. Thompson recording the humiliation. For the past 3 months, Vanessa explains, addressing the stunned room, we've been investigating Nexacor following multiple complaints of systemic discrimination. Her team distributes documents to board members. My employment as a cleaner was the culmination of our evidence gathering, Vanessa continues. What we found exceeded even our expectations. Another team member advances the presentation graphs showing termination patterns by age and race, emails discussing targeting minorities, performance reviews altered retroactively. 47 current and former employees have joined our class action, Bennett adds. The evidence is comprehensive. Board members whisper urgently. Clients edge toward the exits. This is a misunderstanding, Alderman protests. These recordings are out of context. Context? Vanessa raises an eyebrow. Like instructing HR to falsify performance records, or discussing how to systematically eliminate employees over 40? CEO Braden steps forward, face ashen. I had no knowledge. Your signature appears on the restructuring plan, Bennett interrupts, displaying the document. The one specifically targeting protected classes. Davis suddenly moves to Vanessa's side. I have additional documentation, he announces, handing her a flash drive. Been collecting it for months. Vanessa faces the room with calm authority. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's legally actionable, and we have everything we need. She turns directly to Alderman, whose arrogance has dissolved into naked fear. Mr. Alderman, you once said nobody would believe someone like me over someone like you. Let's test that theory in court. Morning news shows explode with headlines. Nexacor discrimination scandal and cleaning lady exposes corporate bias. Business channels dissect the implications. Social media erupts with hashtags. #, clean house, and #, Nexacor fraud trending nationwide. Video clips of Alderman forcing Vanessa to scrub his shoes, carefully edited to protect the victims, circulate relentlessly across platforms. Inside Nexacor headquarters, chaos reigns. CEO Braden calls an emergency board meeting at 6 a.m. Security escorts Alderman and his executive team from the building. Personal items in cardboard boxes, employee badges confiscated. Shocked employees whisper in corridors. HR representatives scurry between departments, instructed to maintain calm. Effective immediately, Braden announces to assembled department heads, his voice strained. Philip Alderman and the involved executives are placed on administrative leave pending investigation. This situation does not reflect Nexacor's values. The irony of his statement isn't lost on employees who've suffered for years. Crisis management teams occupy conference rooms around the clock. PR representatives draft statements, then discard them as new evidence emerges. Legal teams review thousands of documents, finding discrimination patterns dating back 5 years. HR scrambles to contact affected employees, many already speaking with Taylor Bennett Legal. Across town, in a federal courthouse, Vanessa and James Bennett file a comprehensive class action lawsuit. The 47-page document details systematic discrimination based on age, race, and gender. Evidence includes video recordings, internal communications, altered performance reviews, and witness testimonies. The complaint names Nexacor, Alderman, Thompson, and 3 other executives as defendants, citing pervasive and deliberate violations of federal anti-discrimination statutes. Television cameras capture Vanessa exiting the courthouse, composed and authoritative in a tailored suit. Reporters surge forward, microphones extended, questions overlapping. Miss Taylor, why pose as a cleaning lady instead of using traditional investigation methods? Vanessa approaches the microphones calmly. Systemic discrimination hides behind closed doors. Sometimes you need to open them yourself. Nexacor maintained a facade of inclusivity while deliberately targeting protected classes. We needed irrefutable evidence. Was the personal humiliation worth it? Shouts another reporter. Ask the 47 employees who lost careers, health insurance, and retirement security due to discriminatory practices. Her voice remains measured, but her eyes flash. Ask the hundreds more who endured hostile environments daily. Ask their families who suffered the consequences of unjust terminations. This case isn't about my experience. It's about dismantling systems designed to silence vulnerable workers. Meanwhile, Nexacor's stock plummets 17% by midday, erasing $1.2 billion in market value. Trading halts briefly due to volatility. Major clients issue statements re-evaluating their relationship with the company. 3 government contracts worth $45 million are suspended pending investigation. Shareholders demand answers, flooding investor relations with calls. The board convenes in emergency session, security stationed outside to prevent leaks. Members review evidence packets provided by Taylor Bennett Legal, expressions increasingly grim. The room falls silent during playback of Vanessa's recordings, executives explicitly discussing targeting minorities, forcing her to scrub their shoes, laughing about making an example of older employees. "My God," whispers an elderly board member, removing her glasses. "This happened in our company? Under our oversight? Legal assessment?" asks the board chair, turning to their chief counsel. The chief counsel looks grim, loosening his tie. Indefensible. The evidence is overwhelming, the pattern undeniable. They documented everything: altered performance reviews, discriminatory emails, recorded statements from multiple executives. The statistical pattern alone would make this difficult to defend, but the explicit statements... Options. The board chair's voice is tight. Settlement is our only viable path. Fighting this would multiply damages and extend negative publicity. The recordings alone. He shakes his head. No jury would side with us after hearing those. In his $4.2 million penthouse, Alderman hires Witherton and Chase, an elite defense firm specializing in executive protection. Attorneys review the evidence in his home office, expressions growing increasingly concerned as hours pass. They've been building this case for months, the lead attorney explains, closing his laptop. Your fingerprints are everywhere: emails, recorded statements, witness accounts. The statistical evidence shows termination rates 3 times higher for employees over 40 and 4 times higher for minorities. It's entrapment, Alderman insists, pacing across Italian marble floors. She tricked her way into the company under false pretenses. Courts won't see it that way. She was legitimately employed through the cleaning service, and your actions were voluntary. No one forced you to make discriminatory statements or humiliate her. What about Thompson? The others? They're equally involved. Alderman pours himself another scotch, hand trembling slightly. Everyone will protect themselves, his attorney cautions, declining the offered drink. Expect them to testify against you for immunity. Thompson's already reached out to the district attorney about a cooperation agreement. Across the city, Danielle speaks with a reporter from the Business Journal in a quiet coffee shop. For months, I thought I was losing my mind. Perfect performance reviews suddenly became criticism, achievements ignored, deadlines changed without notice. My confidence crumbled daily. When did you realize it was discrimination? The reporter leans forward, recorder blinking. When Vanessa showed me the recordings, Danielle explains, hands wrapped around her mug for stability. Suddenly, everything made sense. They needed justification to fire people who looked like me or were over a certain age. They were creating paper trails to disguise systematic discrimination. Other employees come forward, dozens, then hundreds. Their stories create a devastating pattern that dominates news cycles. A former HR manager reveals being instructed to flag minority candidates for additional scrutiny. A terminated executive discloses meetings where departments were evaluated based on demographic flexibility code for how easily older and minority employees could be removed. Internal Nexacore documents leak showing prior complaints buried by HR at Alderman's direction. 3 former HR employees confirm being ordered to destroy documentation of discrimination claims. The whistleblower Michael Davis provides years of evidence he secretly collected, including recordings of executive meetings where aldermen explicitly discussed targeting diversity hires for termination during restructuring. "I couldn't stop it alone," Davis explains in a videotaped deposition, voice steady but strained. "The culture of fear was too entrenched. Anyone who questioned these practices was marginalized, then terminated. I documented everything, waiting for the right moment." Nexacore's damage control falters as more evidence emerges. Their initial statement claiming isolated incidents by rogue executives collapses under the weight of documentation showing systematic discrimination across multiple departments spanning years. The revelation that CEO Braden approved restructuring plans highlighting demographic targets destroys their containment strategy. The board fires their crisis management firm and hires new counsel specializing in corporate rehabilitation. Their recommendation: full accountability, transparent reform, and generous settlement. Anything less extends the damage indefinitely, warns their new advisor. 2 weeks after the revelation, Alderman's legal team approaches Taylor Bennett with a settlement offer 8 figures, confidentiality agreements, no admission of wrongdoing. The proposal includes generous individual payments but requires complete silence regarding Nexacore's practices. James Bennett presents the offer to the plaintiffs gathered in their conference room, former executives beside maintenance workers, administrative assistants next to department heads, united by their experiences of discrimination. "This is standard corporate strategy," he explains, distributing copies. "Companies prefer silence over accountability. The amounts are significant, designed to end this quietly." Vanessa studies the document, noting the extensive confidentiality provisions. She stands, addressing the room. "This was never about money." $8 million isn't nothing, argues one former employee, a single mother terminated after 15 years. "That would secure my children's future." "True," Vanessa acknowledges, "and everyone deserves compensation for what they've endured." But what about the next company that decides discrimination is cost-effective? What about employees without our evidence? This settlement preserves the system. She slides the offer aside decisively. "We decline confidentiality. Any settlement must include structural reforms, public acknowledgement, and industry commitments. Money alone won't prevent this from happening again." When Alderman's team receives their counteroffer, the lead attorney's eyebrows rise dramatically. They want board-level oversight, published diversity metrics, mandatory transparency reporting, and independent compliance monitoring, plus damages exceeding our offer. Alderman slams his fist on the table. "Absolutely not. They're trying to destroy me and everything I've built. I won't be made an example." "No, Philip," his attorney sighs, closing the folder. "You did that yourself when you forced a woman to clean your shoes on camera while making explicitly discriminatory comments." As negotiations intensify, media coverage expands from Nexacore to industry-wide discrimination. Business publications analyze the cost of bias in financial terms, billions in litigation, turnover expenses, and lost innovation. Employee advocacy groups report increased complaints across the sector as workers recognize patterns similar to Nexacore's practices. Danielle appears on a morning show, articulating the human impact with compelling clarity. This isn't about one bad executive or company. It's about systems designed to devalue certain people's contributions based on age or appearance. Viewer response crashes the network's feedback system. Her hashtag #MyNexaCore trends nationwide as thousands share similar experiences from different companies. Nexacore board members, facing shareholder lawsuits and regulatory scrutiny, vote unanimously to settle on the plaintiff's terms. Alderman receives notification of termination for cause. All stock options and benefits forfeited. His team makes one final attempt at damage control. 6 weeks later. Nexacore's main conference room has been transformed into a quasi-courtroom. Board members sit along one wall. HR representatives and legal counsel occupy another. Recording equipment captures every word. Alderman enters with his legal team 3 attorneys in bespoke suits, projecting practiced confidence. He straightens his tie, nodding curtly to former colleagues who avoid his gaze. The board chair opens the disciplinary hearing. This proceeding will determine employment termination terms for executives involved in discriminatory practices. Vanessa sits with James Bennett at a side table, surrounded by documentation. She wears a simple navy suit, commanding respect without ostentation. Alderman's lead attorney begins with aggressive misdirection. This entire case stems from deceptive infiltration. Miss Taylor misrepresented herself to gather information under false pretenses. Bennett rises calmly. My client was legitimately employed by the cleaning service contracted by Nexacore. No misrepresentation occurred. The board chair nods. Proceed to substantive matters. Vanessa presents methodically organized evidence. Video testimony from former employees describes systematic targeting based on age and race. Financial analysis demonstrates how discrimination boosted short-term profits while creating massive liability. The pattern is undeniable, Vanessa explains, displaying color-coded termination charts. Employees over 40 were 340% more likely to receive negative performance reviews after the restructuring initiative began. Alderman shifts uncomfortably as his messages appear on screen. Focus on the older ones first, they're more expensive and easier to replace. And Jenkins is black and over 50 perfect termination candidate. Thompson testifies next, already negotiating reduced penalties. It was Alderman's strategy. I just implemented his directives. Yet you recorded employees being humiliated, Bennett counters. For entertainment. Thompson stares at the table. Poor judgment. The most damaging evidence comes from Michael Davis, who presents 3 years of documentation showing escalating discrimination under Alderman's leadership. I raised concerns repeatedly, Davis testifies. He said, and I quote, "Some demographics aren't worth the investment." Through it all, Alderman maintains a facade of injured professionalism, but when cross-examination begins, cracks appear. Did you instruct HR to alter performance reviews? Vanessa asks directly. That's standard performance management, Alderman deflects. Yes or no? Business requires difficult decisions. Did you target employees based on age and race? Vanessa persists. Alderman's attorney interjects. My client made decisions based solely on business factors. Vanessa plays the recording where Alderman explicitly discusses targeting minorities and older workers. The board visibly recoils. As questioning intensifies, Alderman's composure deteriorates. His responses grow defensive, then combative. You're twisting everything, he finally explodes. This company needed modernization. We were carrying dead weight people who couldn't adapt, wouldn't retire, taking positions from qualified younger candidates. The room falls silent. His attorney winces. Certain demographics simply underperform, Alderman continues, unable to stop himself. That's reality, not discrimination. If those people happen to be older or minorities, that's not my problem. His attorney whispers urgently, but Alderman pushes him away. I increased shareholder value. That's the only metric that matters. The board chair calls a recess. When they reconvene 30 minutes later, their decision is unanimous. Termination without severance, forfeiture of all stock options and benefits, and referral to regulatory authorities for further investigation. CEO. Braden addresses Alderman directly. Effective immediately, your employment with Nexacor is terminated. Security will escort you from the premises. Reporters wait outside. Cameras flash as Alderman emerges. Former colleagues cross to the other side of the lobby. His phone buzzes with notifications, social media exploding with video clips of his outburst leaked minutes after the hearing concluded. At the parking garage, Vanessa exits through a different door. Alderman spots her and approaches, security trailing uncertainly behind. "You destroyed everything I built," he seethes, his face contorted with rage, while she responds simply, "No." "You did that yourself." 3 months after the hearing. Spring sunshine illuminates Vanessa's corner office at Taylor Bennett Legal. New diplomas line the walls, recent hires expanding their workplace justice division. Phone lines flash continuously. On her desk, business publications feature headlines. Nexacor settlement reshapes industry standards, and the Taylor precedent, how one case changed corporate accountability. The settlement terms have become public. Substantial compensation for affected employees, mandatory transparency in hiring and firing practices, and board-level oversight of diversity metrics. Most significantly, Nexacor agrees to publish quarterly demographic reports with compensation comparisons. Vanessa reviews applications for the firm's expanded internship program. The candidate pool, primarily from underrepresented backgrounds, has tripled since the Nexacor case. Across town, competitors scramble to audit their own practices. HR departments implement new documentation protocols. Diversity officers receive expanded authority. Industry publications run special issues on discrimination risk management. James Bennett enters with fresh analytics. 3 more financial institutions have implemented the Nexacor protocols voluntarily, he reports. They're calling it preventative compliance. Vanessa scans the list. Impressive. Major players are recognizing discrimination liability outweighs any perceived benefits. Self-interest driving social progress, James observes. Sometimes justice arrives through unexpected doors. At a downtown business center, Danielle leads a panel discussion on workplace equity. Her new position, Director of Inclusion at a Nexacor competitor, carries authority her previous employers never allowed. The audience includes executives, HR professionals, and employment attorneys. Discriminatory practices aren't just morally wrong, Danielle explains. They're financially devastating. Nexacor's stock still hasn't recovered, while companies adopting transparent practices are outperforming the market. Former Nexacor employees thrive in their new roles. The company's discriminatory practices inadvertently created a talent pool of experienced professionals eager to demonstrate their capabilities. Competitors recruit them actively, emphasizing inclusive culture as a selling point. Vanessa receives an invitation to address the Association of Financial Executives. Her keynote speech, The Business Case for Equality, sells out within hours. Corporate counsel nationwide study the Nexacor case as a warning and roadmap. Meanwhile, Michael Davis steps into his new role at the transformed Nexacor. As Executive Vice President of Ethics and Inclusion, he reports directly to the board. His first initiative, an anonymous reporting system protecting whistleblowers from retaliation. Our goal isn't just compliance, Davis explains to assembled employees. We're creating a model where everyone's contributions receive fair evaluation. Under new leadership, Nexacor rebuilds its culture methodically. Quarterly transparency reports demonstrate demographic balance, returning to departments previously purged. The board establishes compensation equity reviews, preventing future discriminatory patterns. Outside the corporate world, academic researchers analyze the case's impact. Business schools develop ethics curricula based on Nexacor's failures. Legal journals publish analyses of evidence collection techniques pioneered by Taylor Bennett. Regulatory agencies cite the case when strengthening enforcement guidelines. Legislators reference it during hearings on workplace protection bills. The ripple effects extend beyond individual companies to systemic reform. At a national conference on corporate responsibility, a young reporter approaches Vanessa after her presentation. Looking back, she asks, was it worth the personal humiliation? Would you do it all again? Vanessa considers the question carefully, surveying the room filled with executives implementing reforms. Every moment on my knees was worth it, she answers firmly, because now thousands will never have to kneel. 1 year later. Autumn leaves scatter across the campus of City University Law School. Vanessa adjusts her reading glasses, reviewing applications for the newly established Workplace Justice Scholarship. 5 students from underrepresented backgrounds will receive full funding for their law degrees. Sunlight catches the framed newspaper on her office wall. The headline reads, Nexacor's Transformation, from Discrimination Case Study to Diversity Leader. The accompanying photo shows their diverse executive team, Michael Davis prominent among them. Their stock has recovered, climbing steadily as socially conscious investors recognize genuine reform. Quarterly transparency reports show demographic balance across all departments. Their new tagline, Equal Opportunity Measured Daily, adorns recruitment materials. Vanessa's phone buzzes. Danielle has arrived for their monthly mentor lunch. They meet at the university cafe where Danielle shares updates on her Employee Resource Group initiative, now expanding to international offices. We're setting industry benchmarks for inclusion, Danielle explains, eyes bright with purpose. 3 competitors have adopted our framework. Your leadership made that possible, Vanessa notes. Not the lawsuit. Danielle shakes her head. The case opened doors, but people like you showed us how to walk through them. They discuss the ripple effects. Hundreds of discrimination complaints filed nationwide, companies implementing proactive reforms, industry guidelines rewritten. Changes that will protect countless people who will never know why their workplace suddenly prioritizes equity. How's the scholarship committee? Danielle asks. Promising candidates, Vanessa replies. Future advocates who understand what's at stake. After lunch, Vanessa meets James to prepare for an Industry Leadership Award ceremony. The American Bar Association is recognizing their firm's contributions to employment law. I've adjusted your acceptance speech, James says, sliding over revised notes. Less focus on us, more on the plaintiffs who came forward. Perfect, Vanessa agrees. Their courage made everything possible. At the ceremony that evening, the ballroom fills with legal professionals and corporate leaders. Vanessa scans the crowd, noticing former CEO Martin Braden among the attendees. After accepting the award, she steps aside to speak with him. I didn't expect to see you here, she admits. Braden looks older, humbled. I should have seen the problem sooner. Been more vigilant. He meets her eyes directly. Your intervention was painful but necessary. Thank you. Vanessa nods, accepting his acknowledgement without need for elaboration. Later that night, Vanessa returns to her apartment. The cleaning uniform still hangs in her closet, a deliberate reminder of power unchecked and dignity maintained. She touches the coarse fabric, remembering kneeling before men who thought their position made them untouchable. The humiliation was calculated, the recovery transformative, the impact far beyond one company or industry. Vanessa moves to her desk, reviewing a new case file. Another company, different executives, same patterns of discrimination. The work continues, one case at a time, one precedent after another. She thinks of the scholarship recipients who will carry forward this work when her generation retires. Of Danielle mentoring younger employees. Of Michael restructuring corporate incentives to reward inclusion rather than fear. Small changes accumulating into systemic transformation. Progress measured not in grand gestures but daily decisions to recognize every person's inherent dignity. If you found Vanessa's story of workplace justice inspiring, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Beat Stories for more powerful tales of everyday heroes standing up against injustice. Hit the notification bell to never miss our weekly uploads of true stories that will leave you shocked, inspired, and empowered. Share this video with someone who needs to know their rights in the workplace, because knowledge is the first step toward justice.